Amateur Radio News and Notes for Friday, March 21st, 2025. I'm Ed Kabik, November 2 Echo Charlie. In the log this week, we'll be talking about the MVARC breakfast that happens tomorrow on the 22nd. We'll also be learning about batteries for portable operations at MVARC's monthly meeting, also tomorrow on the 22nd. We'll do a recap of the Virginia QSO party, have an announcement from QRP Labs about their beta single sideband firmware for the QMX and QMX Plus, talk about some MVARC Nets on the air, see what's happening with DX, get a solar activity update, talk about upcoming contests, and also take a look at interesting online radio content. Tomorrow, Saturday, March 22nd, 2025, is the date of our next monthly breakfast. As usual, we'll be up at 8 a.m. in the IHOP at 7694 Richmond Highway in Alexandria, Virginia, for great conversation, camaraderie, and breakfast too. We've been having a great turnout the last few months, and there's always room for you to join us. We hope to see you all there. Tomorrow, Saturday, March 22nd, 2025, at 10:30 a.m., we will have our next monthly meeting. This month, Ed, N2EC, of the third person, will be giving a presentation on battery power for portable operations. I'll go over what you need to know about the different battery chemistries out there, how to size your system to your needs, go over some case studies from QRP to QRO, discuss commercially available options and how to build your own, talk about using solar to recharge your system, and even do some show and tell so you can see different systems firsthand. It should be an informative talk, whether you're brand new to portable or an off-grid pro, so bring your questions and get charged up with us. Our monthly meeting will be held at the Mount Vernon Government Center at 2511 Parkers Lane, Alexandria, Virginia, in room 119, shortly following our monthly breakfast. We encourage everyone who can make it to join us in person. For those unable to join us, we'll also have a hybrid meeting available via Google Meet in the show notes. And now a Virginia QSO party recap. Last weekend, we were lucky to have good band conditions and a lot of participation in the Virginia QSO party. I wasn't able to operate for the full time, but I did end up with 300 in the log, all in CW. I got 32 counties and cities in Virginia, 37 states, and 1 Canadian province. I was also able to get 7 DXCC entities in the log, including the Slovak Republic, Lithuania, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Slovenia, and Ukraine. I was excited to work Lacey OM2VL on all 5 bands I operated on. That's 80 meters, 40 meters, 20 meters, 15 meters, and 10 meters. And it's almost certain that he'll be the top DX op once again this year. He will also be featured on this year's certificates in honor of his consistent participation in the VAQP. Thanks for all the hard work by the Sterling Park Amateur Radio Club putting on the contest, and thanks to all those who participated. I can't wait for next year's edition. If you have any on-the-air activities you'd like to share, send them along, and I can add them to a future edition of Amateur Radio News and Notes. QRP Labs, makers of several inexpensive and highly regarded QRP kits and radios, announced this week that they have released a beta firmware for their QMX and QMX Plus radios that will allow them to transmit on single sideband in addition to CW and single-tone digital modes. Customers have been eagerly awaiting this since the QMX was first released at 4 Days in May in 2023. This is very much a beta release, as there have already been some issues found that are being worked on. As founder Hans Summers G0UPL says in the announcement update on their groups.io from Wednesday, it is, quote, for the brave. But now that it is released, we can expect updates as users test to get everything fully functional. In fact, the second release came less than a day after the first. So considering that the 5-band QMX starts at $102.47 and the 11-band QMX Plus starts at $125, this new firmware makes the rigs some of the most cost-effective and full-featured QRP rigs available. So I would not be surprised if they are soon back-ordered. If you have a QMX and are among the brave, the beta firmware can be found at qrplabs.com/QMXP/SSBbeta.html. And now a reminder about some of the MVARC Nets that are on the air every week. Our 2-meter FM net is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. on the repeater. And immediately following the FM net is a C4 FM net using Yaesu System Fusion on the repeater as well, using that digital mode. On Saturdays, we have 2 HF nets to enjoy, including the slow-speed CW roundtable that is at 7:30 a.m. on both Saturday and Sunday on 3.565 megahertz. We go about 12 to 15 words a minute, and we will slow down to whatever you're comfortable with. And the MVARC Cherry Tree net on Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 a.m. at 3.920 megahertz lower sideband. We're always looking for you to join us, and we'd love to hear you there. All right, well, let's talk about what is happening with DX. There's going to be a lot of it on the air in the next week. Stations on the air will include Madeira Island, Avdamu Beach, British Sovereign Base in Cyprus, Jamaica, Antigua, Rodriguez Island, Vanuatu, Guadalupe Island, Grenada, Tanzania, Cayman Islands, Dominica Island, Cook Islands, Martinique, St. Martin Island, Mali, Comoro Islands, Solomon Islands, Sri Lanka, Benin, Senegal, and Antarctica. A calendar of DXpeditions can be found at dxnews.com/calendar. Now let's take a look at the solar activity update here. As we go to press, the solar flux index was 180, and the estimated sunspot number was 170. Over the last week, the SFI has slightly increased. Solar activity has been moderate due to an isolated M1.5 flare from solar region 4031, and solar wind was also enhanced in the last day, but it's expected to diminish today, with another enhancement to be seen tomorrow, according to NOAA forecasts. Geomagnetic fields were quiet to unsettled yesterday, and quiet to unsettled activity is expected today, and unsettled to active activity is forecast tomorrow. Yesterday brought a G1 level geomagnetic storm and KP index values of KP5. The KP index is forecast to come down today and tomorrow, with values around 2 today and in the low to mid 2s tomorrow, rising to above 3 by the end of the day. There is only a 5% chance for an S1 or greater solar radiation storm over the next few days, according to NOAA forecasts. In terms of radio blackouts, the chance for an R1 to R2 blackout is at 30%, and the chance for R3 or greater radio blackouts is at 5%. Conditions have been favorable overall. It remains a fantastic time for amateurs of all license classes to get on the air and work the world. Good sources of real-time solar information include spaceweatherlive.com and solarham.com. A good overview of conditions can be found at dx.qsl.net/propagation. You can see delayer absorption data and associated radio blackouts at the NOAA D-Region Absorption Predictions, or DRAP page. To see real-time maximum usable frequency, or MUF, and critical frequency, FOF2 information from RadioSON data, visit prop.kc2g.com. And now for a look at upcoming contests. On the contest calendar this weekend, we can look forward to the North American SSB Sprint, the AWA John Rollins Memorial DX Contest, the Russian YL and OM Contest, the Africa All Mode International DX Contest, the UBA Spring Contest on 6 meters, and as always, the K1 USN SSTs, the MSTs, and CWTs will all be on the air. The full contest calendar with events and exchanges can be found at contestcalendar.com. And now we'll take a look at some interesting online radio content. Hayden, VK7HH, takes a look at the classic ICOM rig that he still loves today. Michael, KB9VBR, and Joe, KD9CGX, activate an all-time new one for POTA, while Joe does his first CW activation. Becky, N4BKY, and Mike, N4FFF, share their favorite Morse code learning tools and games. Bob, WV7W, takes a look at the JPC12 antenna and uses it to activate POTA. Ralph of Electronics for the Inquisitive Experimenter goes into the math behind the feedline side of an antenna tuner. James, Kilo Echo 8 Papa Zulu November, shows us the Otter Vortex Pro ice fishing tent that he uses for POTA. Jeff, KF0MYB, shows a battery-operated alternative to canned air products. Kevin, W1DED, talks to Cody, K3KLB, about his winter field day operations from an ice fishing tent. Josh, KI6NAZ, takes a look at an upgraded speaker mount from Lido. Hayden, VK7HH, takes a look at some Chinese duplexers. MSci Guy takes a look at the Zenko log periodic antenna from 400 MHz to 8 GHz. Steve, KM9G, shows a budget battery load tester. Chuck, KK7USY, shows a homebrew antenna he built. Dugbo, KD7DUG, shows the essential figure-8 method for wrapping wire and line. Ramon, EA5IW, takes his QRP Labs QCX Mini to a mountain topped in Spain for 30-meter fun. Dugbo, KD7DUG, takes us on a bike packing adventure to Orozco Ridge. Walt, K4OGO, gets great performance for low cost with an inexpensive vertical antenna. Rob, N1NUG, takes a look at the Power Queen lithium iron phosphate batteries and maximum power point tracking solar controller. Sean, W9FFF, shows a design issue with the Yaesu FT5D. MSci Guy takes a look at the Tiny SA Ultra Plus spectrum analyzer. Matt, M0DQW, shows us the SDR-Berry SDR receiver for Raspberry Pi. Kevin, W1DED, talks to Adrian, K08SCA, about next year's DXpedition to Bouvet as 3Y0K. Forrest, KI7QCF, gives a survey of his favorite keys and paddles for beginners, although it is on the expensive side of things. Column, M0MCX of DX Commander, talks about the 2-transmitter station he's building. Morton LB0 Fox India uses an inexpensive monitor to build a ham clock. Steve, KM9G, takes a look at batteries and gear from Kevin, W0AEZ. And Mark, KD7 DTS, talks to Umesh, KK6TXI, about homemade batteries while they activate soda. Well, that's it for this week. Best 73, and thank you for joining us. I'm Ed, November 2 Echo Charlie. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and look forward to seeing you next week.